Hey there, YouTubers! This is Kazuto, here to bring you another deck profile. Today, I'm going to bring you a deck profile that is for a live-action duel series that I plan to be doing at some point, when I can get enough of my friends together that we can actually duel. So, the way this is going to work, it's going to be like a live-action series kind of thing, with episodes, and the way it's going to work is, I'm going to build decks out of cards from my collection, and then the way it's going to work is me and my friends are going to play these decks in a way where, we play as the characters, basically. So the main decks that I've already completed right now are the main character's deck, his rival's deck, and the villain's deck, as in the main antagonist. So today we will start with the deck that belongs to the main character. So this is going to be the main character's dueling deck. Now, each deck will have a certain theme. The main character duels with warrior-type monsters, so the way he works is he's strong against the rival who uses dragons, and the rival is strong against the villain who uses machines. Machines are strong against warriors. So it's kind of like a weird triangle where, they're basically going to beat each other depending on which one goes up against who. So let's start with the extra deck. For the extra deck, for the warrior deck, he only has 3 cards. The 3 cards are as follows. Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. So, for those of you who don't know, this is a very powerful fusion monster that requires Buster Blader plus 1 dragon monster. Now, the way you summon this in his deck is when you're versing the dragon user, you use a card called Destruction Swordsman Fusion, which allows you to create this by using a card on either player's field, one of which has to be the Buster Blader and the other has to be a dragon. And then you just fuse and create this. Now, this is a good counter because just like Buster Blader, it gains a certain number of attack points, basically, it's basically Buster Blader. It just gets that whole same effect that Buster Blader has. I think this one gains 1,000 attack, I think, for each Dragon in the Grave. I don't remember. I'd have to read it, and it's like a really small text, so it's hard to read right now. So I'll post down in the description what this one does. For his second fusion, and his only other fusion, he runs Arcana Knight Joker. Arcana Knight Joker is the fusion between King, Queen, and Jack's Knights. The 3 face card knights. The reason he runs that is for, negation. Anything that would target him just gets negated. And then his final and only synchro monster, his final extra deck card, but his only synchro monster, Stardust Dragon. Now, he doesn't summon Stardust Dragon by the conventional means of synchro summoning. The way he goes into Stardust Dragon is through the trap card, Starlight Road. So, you'll find out why later, when we get to that part in the deck profile. So, let's go with the main deck now. We're going to start with the monster lineup. So, main deck. First monster, 1 copy of the Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the Beginning. This is his #1 strongest main deck card. So, main deck. Not extra deck, main deck. In the main deck, this is a 3,000 attack beat stick that basically either can banish a face-up card on the field but cannot attack the turn it uses that effect, or it can attack 2 monsters in a row. So it attacks the first monster and then it gets 1 more attack again on another monster. And it can only use either one of its effects per turn. So, which is perfectly fine. And the way to summon him is by banishing a light and dark monster from grave. So, which you'll find out why we can make him very easily in this deck once we get a little further into the profile, because there are some light and dark monsters in here. His next card, obviously, because we're running Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, we have to run Buster Blader. I wish I had the alternate artwork for this, but I don't. I just have the original art. So, Buster Blader is pretty much common. We all know what it does. He also runs Lord Gaia, the Fierce Knight, which is better than Swift Gaia. I like Lord Gaia, the Fierce Knight, because if you control no monsters, you can special summon this fucker. So, of course, gonna run him because he's a free summon. Why wouldn't you run this in this version of the deck? This is just a character who uses warriors. His final high-level, monster that's a warrior is the Fiend Mega Cyber. This card is originally used by Joey Wheeler in the anime, but my character for the live-action duel series also uses this card. And for those of you who don't know what this does, if your opponent controls 2 more monsters than you do, you can special summon this card directly from your hand. Very free summon, so you can see where this is going. Now, of course, in order to summon Arcana Knight Joker, he runs the 3 face card Knights, the Queen's Knight, the King's Knight, and the Jack's Knight. So, at 1 each. For those of you who don't know, when you control Queen's Knight and summon King's Knight then allows you to summon Jack's Knight directly from your deck. So you better hope you don't draw that Jack's Knight, because then you won't be able to use their combo, which allows you to get all 3 Knights on board. Now, he also runs DD Warrior, which is one of his Earth monsters, which, if it does battle, it banishes the monster that battles with it in itself, which is hilarious. You banish both of them. And then his female counterpart, which is a light monster, DD Warrior Lady. So there's one of our light monsters that is required to summon BLS Envoy. First dark monster is the Armageddon Knight, which is basically a Foolish Burial. He also runs Obnoxious Celtic Guard, cannot be destroyed by battle with any monster that has 1900 or more attack points. 1 Big Shield Gardener for a big defense. 2 copies of Marauding Captain, which is fairly obvious. The Marauding Captain, basically, you normal summon Marauding Captain, special summon Marauding Captain, and then once you have both Marauding Captains on the field, they can't attack any of your warriors, not even the Marauding Captains. So it's pretty much a lockdown. You can't attack. It's pretty funny. 1 copy of Cyberjar as his other dark monster. Basically to get rid of other pesky cards you don't like. And then his final 2 monsters are really hilarious. This is pretty obvious. Stardust Dragon Assault Mode. Stardust Dragon Assault Mode is by far his only powerful dragon monster, and it's his 2nd strongest card in his deck. Because he has 2 3000 attack beatsticks. This one and BLS Envoy. This one's harder to summon because you have to meet the requirements of having Stardust Dragon plus Assault Mode activate and this being in your deck. So, now I'm not using the Assault Mode 0 because I just felt that would be just too fast to summon Assault Mode. So, decided not to do that. Now, his ritual monster, Litmus Doom Swordsman. For those of you who don't know what this does, this basically gains 3000 attack points as long as there's a face-up trap card on the field. So, pretty good. Making him a very good card for just beat sticking. And in order to summon him, you run 2 Litmus Doom Rituals. That way you have a way of getting into him. Now for his 3 draw spells are the same 3 draw spells you saw in the Yugi deck profile. Pot of Greed, draw 2 cards. Graceful Charity, draw 3, discard 2. And Card of Sanctity. Each player draws until they have 6 cards in hand. Remember, since this live-action duel series is based more around the anime's rules, it uses the anime card effects of some cards. And Card of Sanctity is one of those cards. The anime effect of Card of Sanctity is both players draw until they each have 6 cards in hand. Now, as I've said before, his fusion spell card, Destruction Swordsman Fusion. This is the quick play fusion spell card that you basically send monsters who are on the field from either side of the field in order to fusion summon into a Buster Blader fusion monster. So, this is your #1 main way of disrupting the dragon deck. It's pretty funny when you have Buster Blader and then your opponent summons a dragon and then you chain this to the summon and then just take the monster and go right into Destroyer, the fusion monster. His other way of fusion summoning is Polymerization. Polymerization you're going to be using to get his other fusion monster, which is Arcana Knight Joker. This is what you're going to say for Arcana Knight Joker. Do not use Destruction Swordsman Fusion unless if you're going into Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. And that's the only thing you could summon off of that. His only Reborn spell card is Monster Reborn. His back row removal is Mystical Space Typhoon. His equipped spell is Lightning Blade. He also runs Foolish Burial, in case you don't draw Armageddon Knight, and you need to get a Dark or a Light Engrave. Swords Revealing Light, pretty much to protect him for a few turns. Reinforcement of the Army. Now, here are two other cards he runs the anime versions of. Graceful Dice and Skull Dice. For those of you who don't know, the anime effects of Skull Dice and Graceful Dice are different from their TCG effects. The anime Graceful Dice states that you roll a 6-sided die and then multiply the attack of every single monster you control by the result of the dice roll. And then Skull Dice is the same, but it's dividing every monster your opponent controls attack points by the result. So, most people don't know that, so it's like, when you look at the Percy, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, they got it wrong. Like, whatever they put on there is wrong. I looked it up on there. It's using the same effect that it has in the TCG, which is incorrect. The actual anime effect states that you multiply, for Graceful Dice, your monster's attack points by the result of the die roll. And then when it comes to Skull Dice, it divides the attack points of your opponent's monsters by the result. So it's multiplication and division instead of addition and subtraction for the anime effect. And then the other two anime cards with their anime effect are Ring of Destruction and Ring of Defense. For those of you who don't know how this combo works in the anime, when you play Ring of Destruction, which is this trap card right here, and then Chain Ring of Defense, you yourself are taking no damage, but your opponent will still take the damage. That's how the anime effect works for those cards. As stated, his other trap cards are Starlight Road, which is his way of getting into Stardust Dragon, and it's one of his main ways of dealing with the opponent's cards like Raigeki or, Mirror Force or something like that. So, yeah. He himself also runs Mirror Force for a defensive option. He runs Magic Cylinder, Spellbinding Circle, Scrap Iron Scarecrow, and obviously the one card to go into Assault Mode Stardust, Assault Mode Activate. Now, as stated, the reason I chose Assault Mode Activate instead of Assault Mode 0 was because I didn't want to, him to go immediately into Assault Mode whenever he gets the chance. Because Assault Mode 0 works a lot differently than Assault Mode Activate. Assault Mode Activate requires Assault Mode Stardust to be in the deck, whereas Assault Mode 0 doesn't. It can just summon it from the hand. So I wanted to make it a little more, fair for Stardust Dragon Assault Mode. So that's how that worked. Now, if you like the video, please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more notifications of when I post. Also, I'll be posting the other two deck profiles for the other two characters very soon. Alright, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you next time. Later!